They are Yenching scholars at Peking University. With diverse backgrounds, they are curious about how China develops in various fields. Studying in China has helped them gain perspective on the development of the country's economy. To find out their insights about China's economic miracle, we have invited them for a special roundtable discussion.
Since Deng Xiaoping began Kaifang in 1978, China has seen enormous economic growth. I think it's gone from a couple $100 of GDP per capita to 9,000 today, which is obviously an enormous increase. Hundreds of millions of people lifted out of poverty. And in terms of U.S.-China relations, this obviously has tons of implications. When your neighbor gets significantly stronger, more powerful, more confident, they're going to naturally, want to protect their house, want to go out into the neighborhood and have more influence over the rules.
So I think last semester, towards the end, a couple of us went to the National Museum, and it was the 40th anniversary of the Kaifang. And there was a small section dedicated to China's foreign investment, particularly foreign aid, and that's probably the area I'm most interested in. I mean, again, when we arrived to Beijing in September, it was the China-Africa summit, and Xi Jinping pledged, I can't remember the amount, but it was an enormous figure of foreign aid to Africa. Given the concentration now is not so much looking inwardly, and there's a kind of isolationist tendency in the West, whereas China currently seems to be looking abroad and seems to be looking to spend to help others.
I think China's economic rise also has had a very deep impact on its population. I was reading an article about how mortality in China declined, how rapidly it decreased. If in the 1950s the life expectancy in China was about 46 years, by 80s it was already more than 60 years. This is something that European countries were able to achieve. It took them more than 100 years to achieve such a decline in mortality. It took China just 30 years. And this decline in mortality is due to the fact that many people were elevated from poverty, so their nutrition improved, and also public health became more available to them.
China has a thriving market economy, but it's also still under state control. Like, this country has not been under one ideology. It just adopted to whatever produced the best result. Like Deng Xiaoping said, it doesn't matter what color the cat is as long as it does what it's supposed to do. So yeah, I think China is adjusting every day to the rising challenges. But the interesting thing is, as Nina said, the rising tasks were all domestically focused. Yeah, I really want to see how Chinese government would adopt another pragmatic steps to balance domestic needs and I don't know, maybe international needs, or how it's gonna balance its national interest and how it's gonna balance between its national interest and international image.
For me, in addition to everything that's been said, one thing I think is really interesting is just how China has been able to look inwards and harness its demography. The reason why I say so is because Africa is the youngest continent in the world right now, and more than 70% of the population is under the age of 20, and this is such a huge population that could be harnessed to turn around the fortunes of the continent. So that's one lesson I think can be learned from China, and moving forward, Africa can use to develop.